What is a Bitcoin exactly? I get that question a lot, and it is hard to answer, but the best explanation that I can come up with is that for the first time since Bitcoin's invention, we now have a scarce digital object. Now, let's unpack that a little bit. So, what is a digital object? Well, digital objects is anything that we have on our computer, any type of file like a JPEG or a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet, or a Word document, anything like that can be considered a digital object. And up until now, digital objects were not scarce. So if I were to take a picture of my cat, for example, that picture is going to be stored on my phone in the form of a JPEG. Now I could take that JPEG file and I could send it to 10 different people. And each of those 10 people can send it to 100 people each. So now you've got thousands of copies of this JPEG file, and each one is indiscernible from the original. It's almost impossible to tell which one is an original and which one is a copy. So with the invention of Bitcoin, we now have scarcity in digital objects. With the Bitcoin ledger, the blockchain that Bitcoin runs on, we now can verify ownership of that digital object that is a Bitcoin token. And ownership is verified through the ledger. So if I have a Bitcoin and I were to send it to someone, that transaction is permanently recorded of how much balance, how many Bitcoins that I have and how many each other person has. So now the scarcity of Bitcoin is verifiable because a Bitcoin can't be copied. Right? A Bitcoin file, the digital object that is a Bitcoin, can't be copied. And another way to put that is that it can't be counterfeited. So now once you start to think about it in that terms, you realize that Bitcoin takes on a lot of the properties of sound money. Now, money has taken different forms over the years. The US dollar is going to be our most common form nowadays, but for many thousands of years, gold was considered a form of money. And because gold checks a lot of the boxes with sound money, so sound money, hard money is another way to put it, has to have certain characteristics. It has to be durable, it has to be fungible or divisible, it has to be accepted widely as a currency, it has to be a store of value, it has to be transportable over space and time, has to be durable, and it has to be scarce, most importantly. And so gold has always checked a lot of those boxes, because if you think about the ancient Egyptians would make a gold statue, and to this day, thousands of years later, that gold statue has not rusted or decayed, and it's still in the same form. It's durable, it's transportable over time. Now, the US dollar has a lot of these characteristics, but also it has some boxes that it doesn't check very well. Scarcity, for example. The US dollar is not very scarce, especially I think as all of us are realizing, the more money that they print, the more dollars are in circulation and the less each one becomes worth. So scarcity is something that gold has better than the dollar. But now with the invention of Bitcoin, scarcity is built in to the code. It's designed into the foundation that is Bitcoin, that there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin ever created. And as of the time of this video, November of 23, there's about 19.5 million Bitcoin that have been created. And each day, roughly about 900 new Bitcoin come into circulation. There are new Bitcoin are created every day. The process is called mining. And if we compare that to gold, there's gold mines operating constantly around the world. So they're digging up gold out of the ground as we speak. Well, let's say, just for argument's sake, there's 1,000 gold mines in operation. Well, gold's value is about $2,000 an ounce, and that is derived from the forces of supply and demand. Now, as new gold gets mined out of the earth and put into circulation, that is met with the demand. But what if the supply of gold was to get cut drastically? Say, for example, there's 1,000 gold mines in operation right now, and let's say if every 4 years they were to permanently close down 50% of those. So after 4 years, 500 gold mines would shut down permanently. They would fill it in with dirt and never to be operated again. Well, now the amount of gold that's being produced and being brought into circulation, the new supply, is going to be reduced quite a bit. Well, if demand doesn't change, that's going to have a positive impact on the price with a reduction of supply. Now, Bitcoin operates in a very similar manner in that every 4 years they have what's called the halvening. So right now, the current supply of Bitcoin, there's about 900 new coins produced every day. Well, every 4 years is a halvening event where that gets cut in half. So the next one coming up here is in April of 24, and that's going to be cut down to 450 Bitcoins per day. And then also in 2028, that's going to be cut in half to 225 new Bitcoins every day. And that's going to continue on for the rest of eternity. So the reduction in new supply of Bitcoin is constantly being cut. So the supply is being reduced. If demand continues to be the same or even increases, which I think is a lot of what we're seeing that's happening, is that the demand is increasing as people realize Bitcoin is a scarce, desirable object. And right now, with inflation and the value of the dollar constantly decreasing, and the dollar's value is eroding, people are flocking to scarce, desirable assets, like real estate, for example, and gold. But I think Bitcoin fits the definition of sound money and as a scarce, desirable asset better than anything else, and I think more people are realizing that. So now you've got the hardest money ever created that is reducing supply and increasing demand, which I think explains why one Bitcoin is worth over $35,000 today. And even though it's very volatile in the short term, if you step back and look at the long term, the price continually goes up and to the right. So I hope this helps, but continue on your journey of researching what is a Bitcoin, and you'll find yourself deep in the rabbit hole, just like I did.